Visible crap. When you have a lot of stuff on flat surfaces, your home will always feel cluttered.
So there are actually a few ways to deal with this. The first way is to find common use stuff. For instance, if you don't use this stuff on your kitchen counters like every single day, then try to find some place to store it instead. This will drastically change how your entire kitchen feels. So unless you use something every day or at least 4 to 5 times a week, it probably does not belong on your counters. If you haven't looked at that treasured keepsake that you keep on your shelf in like 3 years, then it's probably time to let that go. And if possible, if you can actually clear out furniture, especially anything that you can put other things on that you don't need to, that will drastically change how your room feels, especially if you don't have a place to put extra crap that you don't really need. We just got rid of this end table, got 20 bucks for that. And then whatever's left, you can try placing on something. Like we keep a couple things on our counter that we use every day and things like plants. And instead of having those loose, which just looks kind of horrible, we put them on a little piece of wood and it just looks way better. So whatever you do have left and you do actually use, try putting it on a plate or a tray or something and it'll just look much more put together. Another hack you can use is closed storage. There's this trend of having like open shelving. We recently invested in a TV stand that has like actual shelves so we can put our blankets and other things in there, and it actually looks way better than when we had a bunch of open shelves on our TV stand before. It just looks completely different. All the cables are hid, makes the whole room feel more put together. I don't know why there's this trend of having like open shelving. Like this is nice, but it gets so dusty, and if things aren't like super clean, then you can tell. So anytime you can have some type of closed in shelving, it'll generally make your house look better. So before we get into some products that I actually use and some really useful hacks, I think it's important to remember that organizing your house it's not really the answer. A lot of times it's having too much stuff. People start with minimalism, or they start, trying to get their house together by organizing this stuff that they have, when the real problem is having too much stuff. It doesn't matter how many different organizers you have, you can't just shove too many things into a closet, especially if you don't use a lot of those things. It'll just be an expensive way to store stuff. I feel like that's the easiest thing to go to. The easiest thing is to buy something to cure your problems instead of actually addressing the root of the problem, which in our case is too much crap. Or it's like the thing that will give you the results the quickest. Like you organize stuff, it looks nice, you can take a picture, throw it on Instagram, instead of actually getting rid of stuff, which can sometimes, especially when you're getting started, actually make your house look more messy because you're going through all those cabinets that have stuff that hasn't been emptied in years. And that can be really hard. It's scary, it's depressing. The first time my wife Meredith decluttered her room, she literally had like a foot high of clothing across an entire room and was like going through it for multiple nights after work and having a really hard time to try to figure out what to get rid of. And now she's reduced her clothes by like 50 to 70%. She's still not exactly where she wants to be, but she had to do that really hard work when she could have just organized and color coded and put stuff in storage for in case she moves up a size or down a size. You got to go through that hard part for the rest of this to actually work and be useful. I used to have that problem too. I had way too much clothes, and I finally found a brand that actually fits me. It's Cuts Clothing. It's the t-shirts I've been wearing pretty much in every video for the past like 4 years, and I've mostly gone to just black t-shirts. I have a simple wardrobe where I can have like 15 to 20 different shirts, and I just cycle through them and I never have to wear anything else. I've never had a shirt wear out on me in this entire time, and I wear them every single day. They fit amazing. They feel like they were like tailored for me. They're by far the best shirts I've ever worn. If you guys want to check those out, there's a link down below with 15% off. I would highly recommend them. They also have a women's line, and I would just highly recommend trying to simplify your wardrobe. That can free up a ton of space and like mental space as well, where you never have to think about what you're gonna wear because everything that you have is your favorite. But now it's time for some products. Organizers. Now, this is mostly for stuff that you definitely need. It's not for all the stuff that you don't need. These are the few that actually have helped us. We used to have like 20 boxes shoved in, they'd be ripping apart. It was so frustrating. We invested in some organizers, and now our drawer always feels good when it comes to like bags, plastic wrap, that type of stuff. Definitely worth it. An under the kitchen sink organizer. I think we need one more of these because of the amount of stuff that we have, but this keeps everything organized and it doesn't just build up and go beyond there and you can't even open things or find stuff. So worth it. Baskets. Again, this comes to putting all your stuff together. We used to have just like 30 or 50 different things on this one shelf, and now we got some baskets and everything belongs in its own little basket, and it just makes this place feel so much more put together. You always know where everything is because it belongs in its little basket, so you know where to put it back. It doesn't just get all jumbled together and all the stuff in the back you never actually use. And then we also try to organize to ease of use. So everything that we use all the time is in the front, it's in eye level, it's easy to reach. And all the stuff that we don't use that often is more up at the top when it comes to this medicine cabinet. It's in the back, it's behind the hamper here. That's more for like long-term storage, because if we had to get to it every day, it would be really annoying. It helps. All of those rules and habits are great, but it really comes back to not having too much stuff in your house. So how do you decide what you should get rid of and what you shouldn't? That is the hardest question throughout the entire process. When you're starting, there's like some easy pickings where you get rid of the stuff that's obvious, but then you get down to the things that people gave you and you feel bad getting rid of. You come to the things that maybe have some memories attached to them. You come to the things that you spent money for and you feel guilty donating or getting rid of, or you can't sell for as much as you paid for it and it feels like a waste of money. So how do you decide what to keep and what to get rid of? Well, I have a couple questions that I asked that have really helped me. The first one is, if I didn't own this thing, would I spend money for it? If I didn't own this pair of shoes, would I spend $100 in order to get them? If the answer is no, then that maybe means you should get rid of them. You can ask that with so many things. If you wouldn't actually go ahead and make that purchase again, then you probably don't need that thing. When it comes to cups, yeah, I would buy our cups again. We use those all the time. I like them. They're good. When it came to the end table that I just decided to sell this week, I realized that I wouldn't go out and buy this. I don't even use it. I would not pay money for it, and therefore I got some money for it, which was nice actually. So would you spend money for it? Another question that I ask is, if there was a fire and this burned, would I feel relieved or not? This has really helped me with all that guilty stuff. When people have given me things for Christmas that I didn't want, I didn't ask for, I didn't need, I've never even taken them out of the packaging, but I feel bad getting rid of them. If I would actually feel like, you know, pretty cool with them burning and just disappearing and my life would be easier. Maybe you have a storage container that's just full of crap that you've never looked at, but you're paying for because you don't want to go through it, and it's like this huge thing, or your basement's full of stuff. Would you actually like be relieved if it just all burned up? If that's the case, you can get rid of that stuff. If you have a problem getting rid of it yourself, ask a friend who's a little bit of a jerk to come over, tell them your plan, and they can help you get rid of a bunch of stuff because they're not emotionally attached to anything, and that can be actually a good hack. If you can't do it yourself, have somebody else like force you to do it or do it for you. It's a good strategy. I think it's also important to remember that like this isn't about Instagram. This is about making your life easier. It's about reducing the stress in your life. It's not about having some perfect aesthetic or having the same organization system as somebody else you've seen or Pinterest. It's about improving the quality of your life. And while getting rid of a few things or organizing one drawer won't really change your life all that much, building a habit of every Saturday or every Thursday night doing one portion of your house and systematically doing that for an entire year, and then making it a habit that sticks for multiple years, and then implementing some of the habits that I've talked about in other videos, can actually improve your life. It can reduce stress when you're home. It can make you more social and you're okay with people coming over. It can improve your relationships because you're less stressed about the crap in your life. Like, it's this mental clarity that you don't really realize that you were missing until you have this space. That was like the biggest thing that I noticed when I started my minimalist journey, was like everything that I owned a little space in my mind. And as I got rid of more and more stuff and simplified my life, I had less choices to make every day. I had a less stressful environment to live in. There's just a lot of benefits for this. So while it's hard, especially when you're getting started, it is definitely worth it. And another thing that's definitely worth it is subscribing to this channel. So if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out Cuts. There's 15% off down below, and I'll see you next week.